Emily had never been the kind of person to panic, not even when things went terribly wrong. But standing alone on a moonlit backroad with her car broken down and no cell signal, she started to feel the weight of the unknown pressing in. The chilly breeze of early October rustled the tall grass nearby as the moon cast silver light across the cracked pavement. Her breath clouded in the air, and the silence felt too heavy, like the world was holding its breath with her. She had been driving back from her parents' farmhouse on the edge of Pine Grove, a quiet town she hadn't returned to in over 3 years. It was supposed to be a simple visit, drop off some homemade gifts, say hello, and get back to the city before nightfall. But between lingering conversations, old photo albums, and apple pie she couldn't say no to, she left far later than planned. Now, halfway between nowhere and her apartment, her engine had coughed, sputtered, and finally died. She tried the ignition again. Nothing. Only silence. Gripping her coat tighter around her shoulders, she took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. Stars spilled across the darkness like diamonds. If it weren't for the fact that she was stranded, it would have been beautiful. She grabbed her flashlight from the glove compartment and stepped out. Her boots crunched on the gravel as she popped the hood, though she had no clue what she was looking for. The cold metal and wires looked just as confusing under the light as they did in daylight. Emily sighed, half laughing at her own helplessness. Then she heard it, a soft hum of tires on asphalt. She turned quickly, narrowing her eyes as headlights appeared in the distance. Her heart picked up, unsure if she should wave them down or retreat into her car and lock the doors. But her body didn't move. The vehicle slowed as it approached, and then it stopped. The driver's side door opened, and a man stepped out. He wore a gray hoodie and jeans, hands raised slightly as if to say he meant no harm. He looked to be in his early 30s, his face shadowed but not threatening. His voice was calm when he spoke. "Car trouble." Emily hesitated, then nodded. "It just died. I think the battery. Or maybe something worse." "Mind if I take a look?" he asked gently. She gave a slow nod and stepped back. He moved with quiet confidence, peering under the hood and asking a few questions. She answered as best she could, watching his hands work. "I'm Alex, by the way," he said without looking up. "Emily." He smiled briefly. "Nice to meet you, even under these circumstances." Within minutes, he had her battery reconnected with some jumper cables from his truck, but it was clear the issue ran deeper. He offered to give her a ride to the nearest gas station about 5 miles up the road. Emily glanced at the dark stretch ahead. Normally, she'd never accept a ride from a stranger. But something about him, his calm tone, his respectful distance, the way he didn't push, made her feel strangely safe. "All right," she said. "Just until I can call a tow." The inside of his truck was warm, the faint scent of coffee lingering in the air. As they drove, the awkwardness of strangers settled, then slowly melted. "You live around here?" he asked. "I used to. Grew up in Pine Grove. Moved to the city after college." He nodded. "I'm just passing through, actually. Road trip." "To where?" He grinned. "Nowhere specific. Just needed a break from everything." She tilted her head. "From what?" He hesitated. "From work, from people, from noise, I guess. I needed to breathe again." That resonated with Emily. She had left the city hoping to escape some of the same things. Now, noise, constant demands. Their conversation drifted from road trips to music, to books, to stories about childhood. There was something grounding about it, talking to someone without pretense, in the quiet dark, under a moonlit sky. The gas station was closed, but there was a small 24-hour diner next to it. He pulled in. "Want coffee?" he asked. "I won't say no." Inside, the diner was lit with a warm amber glow, smelling of syrup and cinnamon. They slid into a booth, and the waitress brought 2 mugs. For the next hour they talked. About regrets. About dreams neither of them chased. About the odd peace that comes when life forces you to slow down. Emily shared how she'd spent years climbing a corporate ladder that left her hollow. Alex spoke about how his job in construction paid the bills but stole his time and energy. In the quiet moments between sips, she noticed the way he looked at people when they weren't watching. Kindly, thoughtfully. Like he really saw them. It was nearly midnight when he offered to drive her to a nearby motel. She hesitated, unsure again. But he promised to wait in the parking lot until she got checked in. And he did, standing by his truck sipping coffee, until she gave a small wave from her room's window. Before he left, he handed her a piece of paper. "Just in case you need anything," he said. It was his number. The next morning, Emily returned to her car with a tow truck. By noon, she was back home in the city. But she kept that piece of paper on her desk, glancing at it more times than she'd admit. Few days passed, then a week. Then one rainy afternoon she sent a message. "Hey, I never really got to thank you properly. Coffee on me next time." He replied within minutes. "Only if we make it moonlit again." They met halfway between their cities at a quiet park with string lights and food trucks. This time she brought a picnic. They sat by the water, laughing over sandwiches and debating whether the moon was closer to poetry or science. He brought her an old paperback copy of her favorite book, found at a dusty used store along his road trip. Their friendship grew naturally, slowly, with intention. There were no grand declarations or whirlwind romances. Just steady trust, long conversations, unexpected laughter. One evening months later they stood under the stars again. This time not on a cold road, but a quiet hill near her apartment. "Funny," she said. "If my car hadn't died, you would have never gotten stuck with a guy like me," he teased. She nudged him with her shoulder. "I would have never gotten found." He turned serious now. "You weren't lost, Emily." "Maybe not. But I needed help. And you were there." They stood in silence for a moment before he reached for her hand, and she let him. From that point on, the story of a moonlit breakdown wasn't about misfortune. It was about timing. About a stranger who wasn't really a stranger, just someone meant to arrive at the right moment. Not to save her, but to walk beside her.